Ever wondered who brought down Pablo Escobar? Most people think it was just the Colombian police or the DEA. But behind the scenes, Escobar's biggest threat wasn't wearing a badge, it was wearing a suit. Meet the Cali Cartel. Unlike Escobar's Medellin cartel, which thrived on fear, car bombs, and chaos, the Cali Cartel moved like a corporation. Slick, silent, and lethal when needed. Known as the Gentlemen of Cali, they weren't your typical drug lords. They preferred to buy loyalty, not force it, spending over $1 billion a year just on bribes. But don't let the nickname fool you. These men weren't pacifists. They just knew violence was bad for business, unless it was necessary. At the top sat four masterminds. Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela, known for his calm strategy. Some even called him the chess player. His brother Miguel, the organizer. Jose Santa Cruz, aka Chepe, a childhood friend with a ruthless edge. And Helmer Herrera, or Pacho, who ran security and laundered their billions. And billions it was. They controlled 90% of the U.S. cocaine trade at their peak, raking in a jaw-dropping $20 billion a year. But how did they even get there? That story starts in the 1970s. Before they were drug kingpins, Gilberto and Miguel were pulling off small-time heists, everything from stolen medical supplies to high-risk kidnappings. Chepe joined early on, bringing muscle and street smarts. Pacho came later, and he wasn't just another thug. He handled the money and security like a pro. Everything changed when they sent their first cocaine shipment to New York. The profits? Unreal. From that moment on, they shifted gears and went all in. But here's where it gets even more surprising. They didn't run their empire like a gang. They structured it like a business, using autonomous cells, strict rules, and low-profile lifestyles to avoid drawing attention. And it worked. While Escobar grabbed headlines with explosions and body counts, the Cali Cartel built an empire behind closed doors. But their rise wasn't just about brains and money. It was about patience, connections, and playing the long game. And trust me, the war with Escobar, that's where things get wild. Stick around, because what happened next changed the entire drug game. At first, it might seem strange. Pablo Escobar and the Cali Cartel were allies. They had a common enemy, a left-wing guerrilla group called M19, which had started kidnapping cartel members and their families for ransom. In response, both cartels came together and formed a brutal paramilitary death squad known as Muerte a Secuestradores, or Death to Kidnappers. It was one of the few times the two cartels worked side by side, but that alliance wouldn't last. The turning point came in the early 80s. Escobar started dreaming bigger, not just as a drug lord, but as a politician. In 1982, he made it to the Colombian Congress. That move made the Cali leaders nervous. They weren't about public attention. They thrived in the shadows. But Escobar? He wanted to be a national figure. Then, in 1984, everything unraveled. Escobar ordered the assassination of Justice Minister Rodrigo Lara Bonilla, a man who had openly criticized drug traffickers in politics. That killing forced the government to finally take a hard stance. And Escobar's response? Pure terror. He launched a full-blown war on the Colombian state. Car bombs, assassinations, even the bombing of Avianca Flight 203 in 1989, killing over 100 innocent people. That's when the Cali Cartel drew the line. While Escobar demanded the entire underworld unite behind his war, Cali refused to fund it. They saw it as bad for business and incredibly reckless. Instead of fighting the government, they started quietly cooperating with it, sharing intel, funding police units, and working behind the scenes. And just like that, the alliance crumbled. Cali and Medellin weren't just rivals anymore. They were enemies, and the real war was about to begin. By the late 80s, the simmering tension between Pablo Escobar and the Cali Cartel exploded into a full-blown war. The final spark. In 1987, Helmer Pacho Herrera, Cali's ruthless enforcer, blocked an assassination attempt Escobar had ordered in New York. That act of defiance told Escobar everything he needed to know. Cali was no longer playing along. In 1988, the Cali Cartel went bold. They bombed Escobar's Monaco building in Medellin, targeting his family and sending a very public message. Escobar didn't take that lightly. He fired back by bombing pharmacies owned by the Orihuela family, Cali's leaders, sparking a deadly tit-for-tat campaign. But Cali wasn't done. They even hired British mercenaries to launch a helicopter assault on Escobar's ranch in 1989, an audacious move that ultimately failed but proved just how far they were willing to go. The violence kept escalating. In 1990, Pacho survived a massacre and responded the only way he knew how, by brutally executing the Medellin assassin who came for him. Blood demanded blood. Still, the most lethal weapon Cali unleashed wasn't a bomb or bullet. It was Los Pepes, short for People Persecuted by Pablo Escobar. With help from the CIA and Colombian intelligence, Cali quietly funded this paramilitary group, which waged a shadow war against Escobar's empire. Los Pepes didn't just go after him, they went after his entire network: lawyers, money launderers, and even family members. The war wasn't just about business anymore. It was about revenge, about pride, about survival. And with every move Cali made behind the curtain, Escobar's world began to crumble. But the endgame was just beginning, and Escobar had no idea who was truly closing in. When Pablo Escobar was finally hunted down and killed on December 2, 1993, it felt like the end of an era. The Colombian government's search block, armed with intelligence from Los Pepes, which the Cali Cartel secretly funded, cornered him in Medellin. After years of bombings, assassinations, and chaos, Escobar's bloodied body on that rooftop symbolized a victory not just for the state, but for Cali as well. They had eliminated their biggest rival without drawing too much attention to themselves. Or so they thought. With Escobar gone, the Cali Cartel became the undisputed king of the cocaine world. They controlled nearly the entire U.S. market, with estimated annual revenues hitting $20 billion. But the very strategy that allowed them to rise, low profiles, bribery over bloodshed, was about to backfire. Cali's biggest mistake came from overconfidence. The leaders believed they could negotiate their way into retirement, trying to strike a deal with the Colombian government for amnesty in exchange for stepping down peacefully. It was bold and reckless. Around the same time, the DEA exposed a scandal that shook the country. Cali had funneled $6 million into President Ernesto Samper's campaign. That bribe, meant to ensure political cover, turned into their undoing when leaked tapes, dubbed the narco cassettes, blew up into a national scandal. The DEA and Colombian authorities, now under immense pressure from the U.S., launched a coordinated crackdown on Cali. The takedown was surgical and swift. Gilberto Rodriguez Orihuela, the chess player, was the first to fall in June 1995, caught during a carefully planned raid. José Chepe Santa Cruz didn't last much longer. He was arrested while casually dining at a restaurant, unaware that the walls were closing in. But the biggest blow came from inside. Jorge Salcedo, a security chief within Cali's ranks, turned DEA informant. His betrayal led directly to Miguel Rodriguez Orihuela's arrest, ending the reign of Cali's top leaders. It was an inside job, clean, quiet, and devastating. The final piece of the puzzle was Pacho Herrera. Unlike his partners, he chose a different route. In 1996, seeing the writing on the wall, He surrendered voluntarily, hoping to cut a deal for a lighter sentence. He offered cooperation in exchange for leniency, but it was too late to save the empire. In just 3 years, the mighty cartel that once outsmarted Escobar and corrupted an entire presidency crumbled from within. Not with a dramatic shootout, but through betrayal, hubris, and the same backdoor politics they once mastered. The fall of the Cali Cartel marked the end of the gentleman narcos. If you found this story of power, betrayal, and the fall of a criminal empire as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. What surprised you most about Cali's rise and fall? More wild true crime stories are coming, so hit that bell and stay tuned.